Hello, hello, my friends from Jerusalem. Okay, hold on. Something funky's going on over here on Facebook. Ah. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, it's not going. Okay, remove. Hold on one second, Aleeza. There's like a technical glitch. And I'm going to re-add it. Let's see if that works. Facebook's having some glitchy issues. Hello, everyone. This is Chana Mason in the Vitality Show, and I'm so excited for today's episode because sometimes I get to interview people I don't know at all, and so it's so fascinating to get to know someone new. I'm a people person, so that's so fun for me. But there's also something really cool about bringing someone on who I actually know, and Aleeza Ben Shalom is one of those people. I've been blessed to have her in my life for 15 years, more than 15 years. And I just find her such a fun, fascinating, full of life, incredibly bold and boisterous human being. So it's so exciting to be engaging with her today and to ask her questions that I honestly haven't asked her before. Even though we're friends and stuff, there's certain things that you don't really take the time to dig deep. And hopefully that'll serve you as well. Aleeza Ben Shalom runs the Marriage Minded Mentor. That's kind of her title. She's famous in the Jewish world and beyond the Jewish world as being incredible at helping people get through their dating challenges and move from being single into marriage and into happy, long-standing marriages. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. We're going to get to know her story about her latest book, which I'm really excited about, and also tell you a little bit more about what you can do today to increase the quality of your relationship. So without further ado, here's Aleeza. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Chana. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's such a pleasure just to engage with you and to hear your voice and to glean from your boisterous, full of life wisdom. I want to just jump right in.
Yeah.
I know that right now you live in Philly, and that's actually where you grew up, correct?
Yes. Born and raised Philly. Anybody who's a Philly person, we're a little bit like it's a brotherhood thing, Philadelphia.
Oh, wow. You've already got somebody saying hello from Pardes Chana, which is where you're thinking of moving here in the land of Israel.
Yes. Please God, in January, we pack our bags and head off to Pardes Chana. If you know of a place, we're still searching because Israel moves at a little slower pace than America in terms of getting a rental and making it happening. But it's fine. We're chill. We're gonna pack our bags and like ship somewhere in Israel. Pardes Chana, just send container. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. So please, I'm so curious to know. Here you are. Let's say, what is it, like 32 years ago you were born, something like that, right? So you're born in Philadelphia and you're playing Barbie, but it occurs to you that, hey, it might be cool to play Barbie with like real people. Like, how did you get into this whole matchmaking?
It probably started when I was pretty young at camp, and my brother came to camp. He's 2 and so I'm 10 years old and he's 8 years old, and I'm like, hey, you want to go to the dance with my girlfriend? I think she likes you. And he's like, okay. And she's like, sure. And they go to the dance together, and like poof, that was the beginning of like Aleeza intermingling in people's relationships for the good, only for the good. But I've always been super fascinated by relationships, specifically by people who are married, and just watching dating relationships and people getting together. And I noticed there's like a lot of trouble in romance, like you get into something and before you even get into it, you're out of it and you don't even know what's happening, and it's just so challenging to get through it. And I'm one of those like go-betweens, peacemakers. Like I get it, I see things, I understand things, and I'm able to help people navigate through it. So I also started in everywhere. Whenever people were dating, middle school, high school, college, and I was always like, I think she likes you. No, I think he likes you. Meantime, it's my idea. I'm like, I know. I mean, I know it because I see it. It's on your face. It's obvious to me. I mean, it's not coming out of your mouth yet, but it will really soon. And so I was always just helping people to get together. And I realized it wasn't really the matchmaking process that I loved. It was really the head and the heart, right? Getting your thinking and your feelings aligned so that they're working together and making an action in the world and building a relationship. And then having the tools like finding a person, you could find a person. Getting in a relationship, you can get into a relationship. Keeping it, now there's the trouble. How do we actually keep a relationship together and make it last for a lifetime? So that's what I love doing, is giving the people the skills to find the right person. And along the way, it's like, oh, Aleeza's a dating coach. Like, yeah, but really what you don't know is that I'm training you for a long-term relationship, for marriage. And you're going to have everything you need for the road, so that when you hit your hurdle and your bump and your challenge, because you will hit many of them, like, sorry, mic drop. I hope you don't get really upset at hearing this, but you're going to find your perfect for you person, and then you're going to struggle to stick with them for a lifetime, because they're going to be perfect for you in this moment, but in the next moment they're going to be really not perfect for you, and you're going to be really big surprise. You're going to be really irritated by them, but teaching them how to navigate through that is part of the whole dating coaching, which really is about building relationships, long-term meaningful relationships.
So I'm curious to know something, which I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but I experienced this myself because I like putting people together, and I actually have a camp story from when I was 12. I thought that was pretty young, but you beat me to that one. So I remember when I got married, one of the things that was really exciting for me about being married was that I could finally start talking to men without them being concerned that I was hitting on them. And without me being concerned that they would think that I was hitting on them. And I was wondering if, like, how you deal with that.
Yeah, no, people still hit on you. Sorry. I mean, I don't know, maybe they don't hit on you, but they still get a little too friendly. And it's like, they're like, do you mind if I tell you certain things? And I'm like, I'm an open book and you can share whatever you need to share. I just need it to be a professional relationship. So sometimes, because you're talking, and depending on, I work with people around the globe. So it could be midnight for them and 8 for me, or the reverse. And so sometimes it's that twilight hour, which gets to be like a romantic hour. And I have to set boundaries that this is a professional relationship, that you can talk about things openly, but not like, I'm not your girlfriend and I'm not your pretend girlfriend. Like, and even having mock conversations and different things, we have to be very clear with boundaries, very clear.
Wow. So it's definitely something that comes up for you.
I think it comes up for a lot of people. I had one of my clients, and she was just being super friendly, her normal, friendly, wonderful self, and she's helping somebody in the grocery store, and they get to the yogurt aisle, and meantime he's like, can I get your number? And she was like, what? Like, I thought you just needed help. And he's like, oh, I thought you were being so friendly. Like, I am so smitten with you now, and I'm taken by you. So, like, we have to be careful and cautious and set those boundaries. And, like, sometimes, you stand there like this with your ring facing outward, so that, like, people are very clear. Like, not only am I taken, but I'm happily taken. Like, I'm not looking to get out of what I'm in, because you never know. People are not always happy where they're at. So, no, I think there are boundaries that still have to be set, and we have to be clear. I work with a lot of men. I would tell you, 10 years ago, I was working with 75% women and 25% men. And over the years, we got to about, 50-50. And I work with a significant number, maybe 60-40 still, but I work with a significant number of men. And they all tell me, they're like, listen, I spend enough money on dates, on everything else that I have to do with the dating process. Like, let me just get help so I could do it right without, messing up, and have it a little bit easier, right? Let me just get through it a little bit more gracefully and figure it out, because I'm ready. I've seen a lot of really committed, strong, loyal, like, ready to go men, and women are like, well, where are they all? I'm like, no, they exist. I know them. I know some of them.
So what are some of the differences that you experience between men and women that you work with?
Some of the differences. I'll tell you first, some of the similarities. Everybody is struggling. Like relationships are difficult. Finding the one is very difficult. You've got hundreds of thousands of people to choose from. The whole world is open right now. You go on the internet and poof, you could be in any country, in any time zone, anywhere you want at any time, and you could have anyone. And at the same time, everybody has nobody, and everybody's so frustrated with the process. I would say for men, when they get into it, like kind of keeping it going and exciting and spicy and like just entertaining. Like a lot of men get into a relationship, they're like, I found you. You're good for me. I like this. I'm in. And they're done. They're like signed, sealed, whatever. You don't even have to like get married. They're like, they're in and they're committed. And then she's like, but like he doesn't tell me that he really likes me, or he doesn't get me any gifts or no words of affirmation, the 5 love languages, he doesn't do any of these things, or he doesn't speak my language. So like, I'm not sure, does he really like me? I'm like, how long have you been going out? They're like, I don't know, like 4 months. And I was like, yeah, the fact that he's with you means that he likes you. The fact that he didn't leave you, like when they don't like you, they just don't stay, they leave. So he's here, so he likes you. Oh, he's not showing you. Okay, we could work on that. But he's in. She's like, oh, but I don't know. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'll talk to him, but I'm telling you, he's in. So I think men have a harder time expressing, not all men, like if you're in the therapy field, or if you're a guy who's like a total talker, you might be able to express things a little bit more. Although if she likes gifts and you like talking, that might not line up so well. So kind of knowing what the other person needs, I think that's really a struggle. And I think for women, they're ready. A lot of women have done a tremendous amount of work on themselves, like personal growth. They are solid who they are, often professional, career, everything. They are just very, very well developed, and they are ready to meet that person, and they do everything else in their lives. They just can't make that person magically appear. And they're frustrated at the process, that sometimes it takes a really long time to figure it out. And maybe they're not ready. Maybe the men aren't ready. Who knows? Like somebody somewhere along the way isn't ready, or it's just because divinely it's not the right time. And, until it's the right time, we're just going to keep going.
What would you say is the thing that people are struggling with the most right now with dating virtually? Because that's something, I know you have this book that's just come out. Mm-hmm. I remember when you showed me the cover. So if you could tell us about the book, and then tell us like what inspired you to write this book about virtual dating, and how is that, like, what are the struggles there?
So I've been trying to differentiate for people. They're like, oh, virtual dating's been around. I'm like, no. Long distance dating has been around. Online dating has been around, but virtual dating has not been around, right? Long distance dating is you live here and I live 3 or 6 or 10 hours away or in another country, and we can't see each other so often because we're long distance. Online dating is I met you online, now we have to move it offline, now we have to get in person. No problem, we can make that happen. We just have to coordinate schedules. Virtual dating is I live in Canada, you live in the States. Americans can't travel to Canada, can't get there. Nope. We're going to be in a virtual relationship unless you want to come to me. And then when you come to me, you have to go back and quarantine for 2 weeks. Am I worth it? Am I worth quarantining for 2 weeks every time you want to see me? So how often do you want to see me? Every 6 weeks, then you want to go into quarantine for 2 weeks and you have to fly every time and pay to come to see me? Is this relationship really worth it? Okay. That's a virtual relationship.
That's loaded.
Look, I mean, heavy. I don't even know if I like you. I never met you in person. I'm going to have to quarantine for you? How important are you to me? Or I'm in another country and I can't get out and you can't get in. We are virtual. The entire relationship is this. Like you and me talking through the camera. That's it. And do you really know me? Are you going to get married virtually? Are you going to live your life virtually? You're not. But you have to live your dating virtually until you can actually get in person. And getting in person is no longer up to you. It's up to the government of whatever country and whatever treaty they have between each other. Like it's no longer in your control. That's virtual dating. And that is so heavy. I just had somebody email me this morning. I woke up to this email and it basically said, I met somebody virtually. they want to meet in person. You know, halfway, we're close enough that we could drive a couple hours each and meet. I don't want to meet in person. I work in healthcare. I know the risk. I'm not interested in meeting anybody new in person. What do I do?
Oh my gosh. That's a big deal.
Like,
and here you're not even allowed to go more than a kilometer from your house. So it could be somebody in the same city. Forget like country.
You could be down the street and you still can't meet the boy next door or the girl next door. You can't even meet the girl next door. I don't know if you saw this news article in New York. There was this guy who rented this big, you know, bubble balloon thing that he was walking in so he could walk next to the girl next door because he couldn't be in person with her. It was like a whole thing. Like, how do we date virtually? Like you meet somebody, okay, you and I, we know each other, right? You and I, we click. We have, you know, a friendship. We have a relationship. There's something beautiful that's here. On camera, off camera, I would have known that I would have clicked with you, right? But when I meat you in person, is it a different experience? Yeah, I mean, you don't really know, like on the camera, you don't know that I'm only 5 foot, not even, you know, like actually 5 foot, and I was 5 foot and a half an inch, and I've been doing yoga, so I'm actually 5 foot and 3/4 of an inch, you know, like
it's crazy because yeah, and I think about certain things like I already know you within the context of life and society and things like that. And so I can project all of the things I know about you onto every conversation that we have on the phone or video or whatever. But if this is the only way I meet you, so you can control so much of your behavior that's facing me, but I don't get to see what you're like towards the waiter at the restaurant and how you treat people on the street and what it looks like when you're eating. I don't know, like all these like random things, you know, whether you smell, like there's so many things you just want to know in context of life and community and family.
I've had people that don't wear deodorant and their mate is like, you know, like it's a cultural thing. They don't wear deodorant and and then they got in person after dating a long time. And it was like, Aleeza, maybe you could say something to him because I don't think I could say it. And I'm going, no, I think it's a philosophical thing. I don't think we could say it. I mean, you could say something. Yes, how they smell. I mean, all of these nuances and details you will never ever pick up over a camera. Now, could you find out if you have chemistry with somebody? Could you find out if there's a spark? Yes. If it's a true yes, is it probably like a positive, like it's really it's not like a false negative. Often if you have a chemistry on the screen, you'll have that in person. But what happens if you don't have chemistry on screen? Guess what? It might be a false negative. You might actually be okay in person, but you'll never ever know it.
Some people just freeze up in front of the camera. Like my husband spent the past 2 years like getting more and more comfortable in front of the camera. But when we first met, he wouldn't even have a camera at our wedding. He wouldn't even leave voicemails. I don't know what he would have done. He would have just not dated. I think he would have just taken Corona vacation.
So if you take a Corona dating vacation, you're going to be on vacation for the next 2 years.
It's a long time.
We are only partway through the pandemic. We're like 6 months in. Think about it. We are really only 6 months in, and we are only at the beginning. And this is not like a scare tactic, not anything. Just talk like practical, real dating. We're only 6 months in. I don't think it's getting better than this. It's going to get different than this. I'm not going to say worse. It's going to get different than this. And if you don't adjust to the new normal now, it's going to keep changing as we go. You won't be dating for a long time. If you right now from people who are healthcare professionals that have spoken with me that are, you know, that are dating, they've told me, Aleeza, we know that outside 6 feet apart, even without masks, there's almost a 0% transmission rate. They've done the tests and the studies. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just telling you what I've heard. They're like, so we could meet outside, but you still have to be 6 feet apart. You still can't be intimate. You can't be close. You can't, right? You're still going to miss some of that, but at least you'll be in person. But some people don't even want to be 6 feet apart. And if you're 6 feet apart and you have a mask on your face like this, I can't even see you. Like the eyes are the window to the soul, but like the face, I need to see your face. I need to see your expression. I sometimes like to read people's lips as they're talking. I'm not just listening to them. I'm full body experiencing them. And you can't do that. And you're not even meeting the real person because you're meeting people that have layers of fear in front of them that they're not even come to the table sometimes because they're
You
so
mean
afraid.
because of Corona, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's just so much there. It's so difficult. And so in my book, Virtual Dating, my goal is dating and love and romance. It is not going to stop. It can't. If there's anything that the world needs more today than anything else in the world, it's love. It's absolutely love.
Sweet love.
Right?
So give us
we
like
have to have
one
it.
tip from your book. Like give us something juicy.
I'm going to give you one of my favorite things, and I'm going to preface it by telling you it's not going to be your favorite thing. Everybody's like, Aleeza, that's the advice. There's 13 chapters. Each one is unique. But while everybody has this time right now and things are a little bit different, I like the word different because we're not going to judge this time period as being good or bad. I mean, everything that happens in this world is for the good, but we might not experience it that way. So this is a different time period. While it might be very difficult to meet somebody new and to develop a new relationship, my favorite type of relationship to develop is what I call mystery in your history, which means that we look back at our past, not only people we've dated, people that we've thought about dating, people that said no to us, people that we maybe said no to, people that your best friends, aunts, neighbors, dogs, somebody recommended that you should date, right? Like people that you forgot about almost, that like I really do like a whole memory jog and a brain dump, and I get people to go back through their own little black book and find everybody. And the older you are, you got to add people per year. So I expect people to have a list. If you do not have 25 people on your list, you did not do a good enough job, and we'll have to talk. But I expect the list to be anywhere from 25 to 250 people. I mean, it depends how many people you know and how old you are. But I expect people to have a gazunta, gigantic, huge list of people for us to evaluate. Because if you already know somebody, if you've already actually met them to some degree at some point along the way, much easier to develop a
to date
relationship
virtually.
now virtually. Yes. And anyway,
Do you have like an actual example of that happening?
All the time. 35% of the people that I work with marry somebody from the past, and they all tell me, 100% of them tell me, there's nobody. If there was somebody, of course I would have been with them already. Either they don't like me or I don't like them, or it wasn't worthwhile, because if it was worthwhile, I would have looked into it already. Wrong, wrong, wrong. People also get married and get divorced. If they got married and they got divorced, they're now on your list. They go back on.
That's like in Harry Met Sally when she takes the index card and flips it, divorce, married, right? They could always come back on.
Exactly.
So sometimes somebody will get married and divorced, and that has created an evolution in their development, and you've had your evolution in your development. And so you're kind of meeting as two different people, but you at least have some rapport to work with to be able to engage online.
So much easier when you already know them. Now, pre-corona, mystery in your history is the place I like to start anyway. Because if you're going to marry, like if 35% of the people I work with marry somebody from the past, we don't need to search the future. I don't need any dating apps. I don't need anything else. All I need is your history to find that person. It's a great process that most people are like, oh, there's nobody. There was a woman, the oldest client that I worked with was 89. When I say we work with all ages and all stages and all backgrounds, she was 89.
Amazing.
And her son found me, and she said, she's looking for somebody. Maybe you'll work with her. I was like, look, I'm not a matchmaker. Maybe she just wants to be set up. It's not what I do. He goes, no, she wants to talk to you. And I was like, okay, like I'm game. We had one meaningful, good, deep, long session together. And we found a mystery in her history. And I called her a year later. How are you doing? What's doing? And she said, well, it's working out now. Thank you so much. We've been dating
wait, slow it down for me. So let's say you tell me, go through my history. So I write down every guy I've ever dated or every guy that's ever been suggested to me.
Hang on. I've got what I call a memory jog. I'm going to pull it out for you. Page 49. So in the memory jog, it gives you all of like the triggers so that we bring it back, because it's not easy to go through this. So we go through childhood, high school, college or grad school, vacation, summer camp, friends, acquaintances. Friends go on the list. This is not only anybody you've dated. This is like you saw somebody and you're like, oh, they're cute. Oh, I never did anything about that, but I remember them from when I was 16, right? Friends you lost touch with, family friends, work associates, people that you've thought about dating, previous dates, right? You see people you've thought about dating and previous dates, that's 2 of like a dozen different categories. So this is
Wow.
anybody. Your mother's been nudging you to go talk to this guy or this girl, and you're like, Ma, leave me alone. Yeah, I want that name. You write down in here, Mom's been nudging me about this girl in Seattle. You just write that down, and then we'll figure out what the name is. We don't even care. Everybody gets a name. By me, I don't like real names. Like, don't tell me Jen and Mike and Steve and John. Like, I don't want any real names. Like Mr. Seattle, Miss New York. Everybody, you know, so-and-so accountant. Like, everybody has to have a title because that's how I remember things. And the names aren't important. It means nothing. It's a little more fun this way too. And then we go through it, you know, like there's a little box that says, we want to know how interested you are. And so we start with the people that you're most interested in. And if there's anybody on the list that you know got married, but you put them on the list, so you cross them off. If you don't know if anybody got married and you're like, oh, but I'm just not sure, then what you need to do is actually research them. So all you got to do is use Google, go on Google, and poof, in like 3 seconds, you'll know whether they're single, married, divorced, with kids, happy, miserable. Like, you'll find everything out. So it's all there. And this book is not one of those pleasure reading books. Like, let me just sit down and I'll just, like, it's not like a good novel. This is a book and a workbook all in one. It's action oriented. It's like I'm talking to you and having a conversation with you, and we're working together. And I'm like, okay, now at the end of the chapter, this is what we're going to do. And then I get you working. And by the end of it, people usually, first of all, they have better tools. Second of all, they for sure have a better attitude. And a lot of people have a better person in their life that they're now dating or exploring dating. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, you know, doing this whole memory jog and how much humility it requires on my part, because I want to believe that every person that I've been suggested or dated, that I'm sure that they're a no, right? Like, I have to be willing to say, I'm not sure. I have to be willing to say, I'm willing to revisit this, and that maybe the things I thought I knew, I could be wrong, or that life has changed, or that I've changed, or the other person has changed, and I'm willing to be open.
So yes, and if you're 100% sure it's no, like his or her teeth are yellow and jagged and they have a crooked smile and their personality is also crooked, and I just, the whole, like nice person inside, but I just can't. And people feel really, like, by the way, people feel very guilty and bad about not liking somebody because of something physical. But we're, you know, like, we're physical and spiritual beings. We've got that inside essence of who we are, and we've got the outside body and the shell of who we are. If it's really 100% not for you, it's not for you. But exactly what you said is true. If you've changed and they've changed, and if years have passed, then you don't actually really know them. And even though you did know them and it wasn't right then, it could still be right now, and we just don't know until we explore it. But it also is painful, and we have to be careful, because if there's anybody from the past that has really hurt you, we're not necessarily going back to any danger zones. Like, I'm not looking to put somebody into this spun me out for the last 10 years. I finally got over them. Now we have to look back at this. Ooh.
That's not really the point. It's more like, the guy I went on one date with 10 years ago, he's a different person now, and I'm a different person now. It's 10 years later.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And you have a much greater possibility of that working than something random and new that you don't even know.
Even though my mind wants to tell me that that's totally bogus.
Yeah, because I don't want to go back to the past. There's nothing there. Been there, done that. It's boring. It's old. Seen it. No, thank you. Like, new. Show me something new and exciting and flashy. And I'll be wowed. Like, but what if I could wow you with somebody that already exists? And they're like, no, it's not possible. I'm like, great. Well, 35% of the 100% say it's not possible, and 35% still marry them. So, like, that's
a lot of people.
And I make people do it first. Because if they don't do it first, you want to know what happens? We go searching the whole world. We look everywhere. We're like digging up the whole world to find their person. And then they call me one day and they're like, Aleeza? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so I know you're going to say I told you so, but this person called me out of the blue, or I called them, or we met from work, or this and that. I'm like, mystery from your history. They're like, I'm like, I love you. You're getting married. Goodbye.
I love the name mystery from your history because it's so sticky. It's like such a good sticky name. Like I can so imagine being able to share that with people and remembering that. I feel like I'm constantly, just because I like doing matchmaking for fun. Like I don't do it professionally, but once in a while I put people together and I'm constantly running through my mind, like every guy I know, every girl I know, I'm kind of like running through the lists. And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but you already know your list. But sometimes things change, like you see it differently or you refresh it in a different way or you have a different kind of conversation. And then you're like, oh, I never thought of that idea. Let me put these people together.
Right.
That's cool. I like that.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify for people. So your new book, it's called Virtual Dating, correct?
Yeah. Hold on.
Yes. So
Virtual
they can
dating.
get that book at marriagemindedmentor.com/ebook, or you can also find it on Amazon. I posted the Amazon link. And after the show, I'm going to post more of the links on Facebook because for some reason, StreamYard's not letting me do that right now. And you can also just go to marriagemindedmentor.com to get to know Aleeza more, find out more about her services. She offers coaching and she also has coaches under her who really support people through their whole dating process. And she also has courses that help people through their dating process. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to send them to me or to her, and we'll be delighted to engage with all of that. So thank you so much, Aleeza, for teaching us about mystery from your history and a little bit about your history and how mysterious it is that an 8-year-old girl thinks it's appropriate to start setting people up.
I never did succeed. My brother found somebody on his own, thank God. I did. I even tried like later on in my 20s. I was like, let me try again, but it just never worked. I'm a better coach than matchmaker.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I wish you an amazing new year. And those of us in our audience who celebrate the Jewish New Year, may this year be, and for everyone else who doesn't celebrate the Jewish New Year, may your year be filled with sweetness and gladness and connection with people you love, including yourself and the divine.
Amazing.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.